Hey, Tony.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Your camera was on, now it's off, just FYI.
Oh, let me fix that. There we go. Can you see me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Well, I'm not going to punish the prompt. It's 8:31. We've got 24 people on already. So that's great. We'll probably get north of 40. So thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're
Um,
welcome. Thanks for having me.
no, absolutely. It's so funny, just kind of a little backstory. I was having a conversation with a mutual friend of ours, Seychelle Van Poel.
Oh, I love her.
Well, that's exactly what she said about you. And I went, wait a minute, I've taken some of Anna's classes and she'd be so good on mindset. Hence the reason I reached out was that from that conversation.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
so, no, I was just texting her maybe 20 minutes ago, so it's funny. I didn't realize the connection.
yeah, yeah, she's great.
Yeah,
So thank you for joining us.
welcome.
I'm just going to kind of jump in. We're just going to have a conversation. Anna's, I've taken some of her classes. You are such a great instructor. I think you bring a really cool combination of information, accountability, and do the work, but in a fun way, which is a unique a quality I think that you have. So
Well,
it's
thank you.
I've really enjoyed the classes I've taken.
Thank
So
you.
tell us a little bit about your career in terms of and this is morning mindsets. We all kind of want to understand how did Anna get from where she was to where she is today.
Yeah, that's a great question. And first, I'm just going to apologize for I'm not totally together yet this morning. My hair is wet. I just got back from the gym 25 minutes ago and somehow pulled it together by 8:30.
Good
So,
for you. That's
uh,
impressive.
yeah, but yeah, how did I get here? So I never thought that I would be a business owner, and I definitely never thought I would talk about sales. And I hope how I got here encourages those of you listening. But I was a high school teacher in Baltimore. So I always joke around when I teach, don't mess around because I managed a Baltimore high school classroom. Um, but I left that really school politics was a big part of it. And I went to a temp agency and said, I need a job. And I guarantee you, any job that you offer me will pay more than I made as a teacher. And I just need something right now. And they put me as a college recruiter at a college. And at first I thought, how fun, I'll be at the booth recruiting people. No, it was 100% inside sales. And it was inside sales slash similar to agent, where I would call leads that had come in online, and then I would be the one who met with them in person at the office.
Okay.
And I thought I hated it at first. I almost got kicked off my first team for low performance. So if you're here and you are struggling in sales, just know I was too, and things can turn around. So um, I really realized I either need to get this together or just leave the industry. Like, I'm not helping anyone by being so bad at sales. So I started learning language patterns, which is how to talk to people, but it's not like a script. It's more like the science of how to talk to people,
Mm.
and patterns, which Tony, you know from the class, but it's kind of like, what are the 4 steps to uncover an objection? So there is a structure, but you get to have your own personality as you do it. And I went from being the lowest person on the team to being the highest producer for the next year straight. And
Oh,
what that did is it gave me the opportunity to start training people. And what I want to say, because this is so relatable to real estate, I think part of why I've now had success in real estate was when I was at the college, for a student to count for you as a sale, which sounds funny to say, but they had to pass their first class. So it wasn't just enrolling them in school and doing all the paperwork and all the financial aid and getting them to start class. They had to complete and pass their first class with a C or higher. What do you think you need to be really good at if a sale doesn't count for you unless they pass with a C or higher, probably 6 months later? What do you need to be good at?
a little follow up maybe.
Follow up, motivation.
Mm.
So, Julia, if you called me and you were one of my students and you were like, I don't want to do this anymore, I had to know something about your personal motivation to keep you engaged. So, it taught me to be a motivation ninja of how do I pull motivation out of people, and then actually use that to help them stay engaged in a goal that they set for themselves. And that has helped very well in real estate. So flash forward, I'm leaving a bunch of detail out, but
No, that's okay.
and this is the part I hope encourages you. Have you ever felt like your life is off track? Anyone? And you had goals for yourself and you're totally not doing what you had goals for yourself. I had known since high school that God made me to be a public speaker and a trainer. And in 2009, my mom, or 2008, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And was her primary caregiver. It was just the two of us, just my mom, single mom, and just me, an only child. And thankfully, the university let me start working from home so I could take care of her. In 2008, nobody worked from home. Nobody did that, no, or at least it was very rare. And what it did, Tony, is it put me in a position where I'm working from home, I'm lonely, I'm facing a significant challenge of a stage 4 cancer with my mom. I'm isolated and I'm selling over the phone. And the truth is, had I had an option, I didn't feel like I had an option because I had to take care of her and I needed to be able to work from home. I probably would have gone and found another job. That's just the truth of it. But I see now what I feel like is God kind of put me in a position that I couldn't leave to develop skill. And I worked from home from 2008 to 2013 as a caregiver selling over the phone college enrollments. And by the time I was done, I calculated it and I had gathered 11,000 hours of phone sales experience. Well, what do they say it takes to get mastery?
Grand.
10,000.
Yep.
So I ended up getting laid off when the college industry tanked back in that time frame. And I already had been being recruited to real estate. So let this be a lesson. Always be recruiting. Somebody was recruiting me while I was employed, not looking for a job. And he just started recruiting me. And when I got laid off, I had an offer letter in my drawer to join a team within Keller Williams. So I called him and I said, you know how I said no? Can I change my mind? I just got laid off my job. And I started as an inside sales agent in 2013 with a team here in Greenville, South Carolina. And I'm saying this, the reason I'm making this long, and I know it's a long answer,
Okay.
this is a part of my story I wish more people knew a lot. I don't get to talk about this a lot. And I wanted to encourage you that if you are in a season of life where you feel stuck, or maybe life's not going quite as you expected, maybe like me, you have a circumstance that, I mean, taking care of my mom was very important to me. I don't begrudge that I had to do that, but it also made me kind of stuck doing something I didn't want to do. And when I had the opportunity to start coaching with MAPS, the moment that opportunity came in, it was like, it all makes sense. Because I would never have the opportunity to teach and do what I absolutely love, which is what I'm doing now. It's what I've wanted to do since high school. I never would have had that opportunity had I not had 11,000 hours of phone sales experience while taking care of my mom feeling stuck. So I just want to encourage you, if you are in that season, I believe there's a reason for everything. And I think do what you can to change your situation. But if you can't for some reason, like I couldn't at the time, I really do believe that at some point in your life, you'll look back and realize why that happened. And so now I've been in real estate. I sold 85 houses my first year, and I've been coaching real estate since 2015. And
only 85 your first year?
Yeah, just 85. I was on a team, so I want to give a shout out to the team I was with. That certainly did not happen by myself, but that did help me have the credibility to start coaching. I had coached in the other industry, and when I came here, I needed street cred, I like to call it. So that gave me the street cred. So I've really been coaching since 2006, but within real estate since about 2015.
Okay. I have a question.
Yeah.
So as you're going through this process of inside sales, college recruiting,
yeah,
I'm sure you all the time had focused that one day I'm going to be a MAPS coach.
Yeah,
not exactly,
no
right?
idea. I didn't even know what MAPS was. I didn't know what Keller Williams was. And where I came to in that season of my life, because I fought it, I was mad at God about it. Like, I hate my situation right now. I don't want to be here. And I just had a bad attitude. And I finally landed on, if this is where I'm going to be, I need to be 100% here.
Mm,
So if this is my circumstance, as much as I wish it was a different circumstance, this is the circumstance. So then while I'm here, let me be the absolute best I can be while I'm here. And I'm just gonna, my motto at that season of my life became pray and do the next right thing. Because I didn't even feel like I could vision cast. Because it all depended on how long my mom lived, which is
right.
a complicated, messy situation. And so no, I had no idea. Keller Williams, maps. I just decided I'm going to do the best I can do today. But it led to these amazing things, which
I
I'm so
love it.
thankful for.
I love that. So what I'm hearing is that while you were working and learning and growing, even though you weren't sure of what the end game might be, you had an idea about
Yeah.
the higher level, and doing all that work got you to that point, and then that opportunity presented itself. And
Yeah.
there you go. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, can I ask you a question about your career? What's one thing that's happened during your career that you never saw coming?
I think even what I just talked about. I actually will share a different thing since I just shared that. And this is just a lesson in go for what you want. So I started coaching in 2015 for MAPS, and in 2018, I'm still coaching. But the Red Book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. You know how Gary does not talk about inside sales in there? He talks about everything, but not inside sales. And it's because when he wrote it, inside sales was not a thing within the real estate industry. And for 3 years, I thought, I wonder what Gary thinks about this. I wonder, like, I coach for his company. I know what I think because I did this in another industry, but I wonder what Gary thinks. And one day I thought, just ask him. And I didn't know Gary. Gary didn't know me. And I thought, I'm just going to shoot him an email and I may never get a response, but I'm just going to email Gary and ask what he thinks about inside sales. And to my great surprise, he called me along with Jay Papazan. It was a 3-way call, and I was totally nervous because I did not know them at all. And I was sitting in my living room, and Gary and Jay Papazan call me, and we had a fantastic conversation. And he like a month later, he interviewed me at Mega Camp. And at the time, there were 18,000 people at that conference. And
Mm,
it just taught me, like, if I hadn't just taken a chance, at that time, that felt like ridiculous. Email the owner of the company this question. He doesn't know me. And it's led to a really beautiful relationship and huge opportunities. So I would say that was probably one of the biggest surprises. I never thought that he would do that, and let alone lead to that opportunity. So go after what you want. If there's somebody you want to ask a question to, reach out to them. If you have a question that's been rolling around in your mind for a long time, get it out there and ask the person who can help that for you.
that. Wow. And it's that's a great story. I love that. And you never know.
You never know.
No, you don't. Absolutely. So what do you think, in your opinion, is one of the most important strengths or personality traits that someone would need to be successful in what you're doing, or real estate? What kind of
Yeah.
habits?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I've found, and I constantly have to check myself to see, do I have this trait, is a teachable spirit. That is the number one thing I believe you must have, is a teachable spirit, and also resilience. I know that's two answers, but um, I coach lead gen and lead conversion. That's my main thing, is how to talk leads and turn them into a client. That is my one thing. And I coach agents in that. I coach inside sales agents in that. And then I do it myself as an agent. And what I find is the people who set aside what they think is best or what they knew somewhere else and just embrace, whether it's from me or somebody else, Gary, another coach, or somebody with a proven track record, if they're willing to say, I think I know a lot, but this person's successful, so I'm just going to listen and embrace what they're saying, even if it's uncomfortable or different. And then I'm going to do it for a period of time, and dedicate themselves to it. Those are the people who tend to succeed and really stick out and really go far. People who have the mindset of, I already know it all, or my way is better, they don't typically, they might have some success, but they're missing a lot of success that they could have had.
Mm,
One of my biggest, I can't believe this just happened moments was, I was helping a team hire somebody, and I said, give him a dialogue to practice before the next interview, and let's just see how he does. And we're just going to practice with him. And what I was looking for was a teachable spirit. Does this person who wants to work on this team take something that we gave him and come back at the next interview and obviously show that he was teachable, that he learned the dialogue? And when I went to practice that dialogue with him, he's like, I actually think this is really dumb. And I wrote my own one. I'm not using this. And I right away was like, I didn't do this, but in my head, I was like, bye-bye. I knew this isn't going to be someone that's going to succeed. So I say this to all of you and myself of, do we have a teachable spirit? Are we willing to listen to people that have gone before us and succeeded? And then there's that element of resilience of, there's that song, I get knocked down and I get back up again. You got to have that element, and that gets easier the more you do it.
Absolutely. And it's funny, when I came into this business, I've been in sales my whole life. And I remember hearing about conversation script practice at the time. And I don't need that. I've been doing sales forever. Come on.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to my son, who's at JP Morgan as a banker, and guess what they do on a weekly basis?
Yeah.
Conversation scripts, and what you say matters.
100%.
And it's super, super important. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I love that.
Yeah.
I know this wasn't in our pre-conversation, but this is something I wanted to touch on real quick. Strength finders.
Yeah.
You mentioned that as something that's been really impactful to you. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm going to put it on gallery view real quick so I can see everybody. Kind of wave at me if you've heard of the tool Strengths Finder. If your camera's off, tell me in the chat box. Okay. Looks like a good many of you. How many of you have taken Strengths Finder? I'm curious. So about a half of who just raised their hand. Yeah. So when I became a MAPS coach, they had me take 5 personality assessments, which if you ever want to feel crazy, take 5 personality assessments in 1 week. It's way too much introspection. But as I did that, one assessment stuck out as, how did it know? It was so accurate to the point of it even saw blind spots. And I thought, how in the world does it know? Now, what's unfortunate is nobody really went over that report with me. So I stuck it in my drawer for 2 years and didn't pay attention to it.
Wow.
Now, in 2017, I had my own business. I'm doing what I always said I wanted to do. And I hated going to work on Monday. You don't have to raise your hand, but does anybody here relate to the feeling of, I hate going to work on Monday? And I thought to myself, and really hear me when I say this, I think this has been a life-changing thing for me. I thought, in my business, I can use a P&L to measure my finances, and I can use conversion metrics to measure my skill. But how do I measure my attitude? How do I know, is this me and I'm not in the right role? Like, I always thought I wanted to be a coach and a trainer, but maybe that's not for me. Or is it the job I'm in, or is it like a contentment problem? If you know how sometimes you leave and you go to the next thing and then you're discontent again a year later?
Yep.
And it just follows you. So I was in that space of like, is it me? Is it the role? I don't know why I'm so unhappy. So I hired a strengths coach because I remembered that assessment seemed crazy true. And within 5 sessions, we figured out what my deal was. And it was that I wasn't approaching my role through the lens of my strengths. And since then, and this is why I'm so passionate about it, it's given me a lot of confidence about how I'm wired. It's given me a filter for what to say yes to and what to say no to. Part of the beauty of strengths is it highlights your superpowers. So let me give you an example of how that works.
Please.
When Gary interviewed me in 2018, I have high communication. Do you think I was nervous being interviewed in front of 18,000 people?
No, not at all.
And by the way, Gary, he doesn't tell you what he's going to ask you. So I'm about to walk on stage with no prep, and I'm going to be asked questions in front of 18,000 people, and I can't even prepare for them. And this is where strengths come in. What I told myself is, Anna, you have the communication strength. If anyone is wired to do this, it's you. And I didn't mean that in an arrogant way. I was trying to pump myself up because I was freaked out. The other thing I did is because I knew I have the communication strength. I know that if you put effort into your strengths, they get even better.
Mhm.
So before that interview, I hired a speech coach, paid her $1,000, and I said, I need you to teach me how to carry myself on stage physically, what kind of clothes I should wear, and then how do I conduct being in an interview if I get asked something I don't know. And we practiced, and by the time I got up there, I felt incredibly confident, and that's what strengths can do for you. And what I'll say is the outcome is I now work 2 days a week, but I make 6 times what I made when I worked 5 days a week.
Wow.
And it's all come from micro changes of how can I get more and more into my strength zone. And I don't tell every group that, because if I'm teaching people who don't have the ability to make more money, like they have a salary, I don't mention it. But especially when I'm talking to real estate agents, I know when you're in sales, your income has a direct impact to your confidence, to your skill, approaching it through the lens of your strengths. And so that's why I tell this kind of group that I 6 times my income and I work 3 less days a week, because you actually could do that too, truly. And I've seen people that I work with, maybe not that exact scenario, but they start making more money and they work less as they're in their strengths. Did
Love
that
that.
answer what you wanted from that?
Yes, no, it's I'm fascinated by it, and I definitely want to follow up with you after this about that.
Yeah,
Um,
happy to.
so, how did that? So that really impacted your confidence. It impacted the direction of your career. There was a
Yeah.
lot of things. What about that was it just the aha of
Um,
realizing what your strengths were?
that's a great question. I need to think about that for a minute.
Sure.
I think I think part of it is, I think there's two parts.
Okay.
Part number one is it did give me a filter. So for example,
Okay.
when I took it, I still do one-on-one coaching, but I do less of it now because I learned I have communication, I have activator, I have strategic, and you might not know what all those are, but they're very, you want to influence people. And I realized the way I'm wired, I really do love public speaking. So I made a shift from doing as much one on one. Like I said, I still have some of it, but I realized I'm more of a group person, where I'm speaking and teaching to a crowd versus all week is one to one. So I didn't know that. Like, I think I knew that if I had done introspection, but that report was like, no, I really am made like this. This isn't just a passing feeling or my opinion. I really am made to be more in that environment. So I tweaked and started doing more group coaching. Um, and then to be very direct with you, I also learned through the filter, strategic is my number one strength. Strategic has to see forward progress. If it doesn't see forward progress, is the strategy working? It'll drive a high strategic crazy if we do not see forward progress.
Mm,
And if I can be really direct, this might be a little awkward, but I realized I can only work one-on-one coaching with certain kinds of people. Like if you come to each call with excuses or whatever, some coaches have more of a tolerance for that. We would hate working together because of that strategic. I mean, you can be imperfect for sure. We can have a week like that. But if it's a pattern of we're not doing the work, we're going to drive each other nuts. And I didn't know that. And then the other thing it did, Tony, I said it was two things. So one, it gave me a filter for what to say yes to and what to say no to.
okay.
The other thing it did is it gave me confidence. So when I was on a team, my team leader, not market center team leader, but my team owner, he had a master's degree in economics. I had been a high school teacher. So whenever we would be in a meeting brainstorming a business problem, what I observed, I would quickly be like, well, we should just do ABC. It seemed very obvious to me, like
Okay.
just do ABC. And my leader, who had the master's in economics with business, I interpreted like he knows way more about business than I do. And I think he does textbook. And I think he's a very brilliant business guy. But if he gave me any sort of pushback about my idea, I would shrink down because I'm like, well, he's probably right and I'm probably wrong. I mean, I studied education. What do I know about business?
Sure.
Well, when I went through the coaching with my strengths coach, he didn't know that. And he said, oh, by the way, strategic moves very fast in the brain, faster than most. And so what can happen is you might be brainstorming an idea and it's very obvious to you, and people around you haven't caught up to that yet. And
Okay.
you need to explain yourself, because otherwise they're going to think you're shooting from the hip. And all of a sudden
Mm,
I was like, maybe my ideas are good ones, and maybe I should stick up for them a little bit more. What's cool is my team owner, super humble guy. And I just went to him and I said, I found out I have strategic number one, and here's how it works. And sometimes we're in meetings, I feel like you don't listen to my ideas, and I shrink back because I just figured I must be wrong. And I want to be more bold about my ideas. And he started listening to me more, and my confidence shot through the roof. And I'm not always
that
right. Let me be very clear about that. My ideas are not always the best ideas. But it gave me a lot of confidence that if my gut is telling me that this is the right thing, it's probably right. And I should listen to that way more than I did, pre 2017 when I dove into this. So that's what it did for me, Tony, is it raised my confidence. And then it also gave me a filter. With a coaching client I have, he does not enjoy phone lead gen, which join the crowd. I mean, most people don't love that, right? But I love the results of it and the money from it. So, but he was like, how can I do lead gen in a way that fits my wiring? And he's incredibly relational.
okay.
So he started going to coffee shops, and he would on his laptop, on the back of his laptop, he put a little cover that says, I work in real estate. You can ask me any questions you want. And he started making relationships with the baristas, so that the baristas, they know everything. They would know if they bumped into someone buying or selling a house, send them to Kyle. He has grown his business like crazy. He's not doing the typical thing you would expect for lead gen, but he's absolutely lead generating every single day. He has a contact goal and he hits it. But he tweaked the way he did it so he
Mm,
could do it in a way that works for him. He's still hitting the contacts. He's just not doing it the traditional way, and he's having great success. So that's an
love that.
example outside of myself of how strengths can really help people. I'm passionate about it, if you can't tell. I'm
No, I
very
can't tell
passionate.
at all. It's and Mary Hope, our team leader, put in the chat that her was super
Oh,
impactful for her and her team
I love
in
that.
going through that assessment. So
That's awesome.
that's very cool. We've got, man, the 30 minutes went fast. We got about 2 minutes left. I would love to open it up if people have questions. Um, Anybody wants to come off mute and just throw something out there. We got about 2 minutes, and I would encourage you, if you got something on your mind, ask it.
Yes.
Don't be shy. Anna got up and got her hair all wet and showed up here for us, and so we appreciate that.
I was like, I have 25 minutes to be ready for Zoom. Lord, help me. And it
You're
worked.
good. You did it. You did it. Yeah, we got 43 people on the call this morning, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you
great.
guys for being here. I enjoy doing this, and so it's fun to be here with you.
Good. Come on, the silence is coming. I don't want to have to call on somebody because I will. So who's going to throw their hand up?
Tony, I'll just
Please,
make a
Greg.
comment about something you said a little earlier, Anna. You were
Yeah.
talking about being teachable and resilience. And I was thinking, well, resiliency is really the ability to get knocked down and know that you can learn from that situation and get better for the next time. So I think they're hand in hand. They're one and the same, really.
Yeah. That's actually a great point, is if you're resilient, you're probably also teachable. That makes complete sense. Thank you for that.
Love that. Oh, point. Who else has got a question or comment?
Good morning, it's Lisa Skocky. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. Good to see you.
Hi. Well, sorry, it's a family picture. But anyway, that's what I looked like a few years ago. So I wanted to piggyback on what Greg just commented about, and being teachable, coming from 10 years in direct sales. Um, and you think of that certainly was sales. I came into real estate. So many people said to me, oh well, you're so great at this, you should sell houses. I just look at real estate as so different. It's not sales. It really isn't. I mean, to a certain extent you are selling yourself, and that's kind of how I view it, is more relationship focused than
I agree.
sales.
Yep.
But being teachable is one of those things. I I won't lie, like early on, I never came to the office, um, and then you start to accept what people are beating you over the head with. And it's like, yeah, why reinvent the wheel if it's working for so many other amazing people around us? And Keller Williams such an open door in general. If you want to be successful, just follow them in every way. Like there were some agents that I, saw obviously as super successful when I first started, and I just started going to their open houses and watching them and what they said and things like that. And on Morning Mindset every day, what we have in Bedford is something that's just full of opportunity to be coachable and teachable and take away like nuggets every single day to help you with your business. So I'm way more open than I ever was after 9 years in, but sometimes it's a process because and I also think that real estate and realtors sometimes come with like a negative, I don't know, just some negative what's the word, like a reputation around it.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm not going to be that. I
Yeah.
don't want
Nope.
to be scripted. I want to be me. I
Yeah.
don't want to be scripted. Like that does not sound like me, but they give you like the parameters and you can just make it your own. And
Yeah.
it's your own business. And that is the beauty of it. But so much to learn every single day.
Yep.
Agreed. Hey guys, I don't want to cut it short, but we are at a hard
Sorry.
stop at 9.
No, that's
No, you're
me.
fine, Lisa. You're totally fine. So Mary Bly, I got your hand up. I apologize. Anna, thank you so much for being here. It was
Yeah.
really, really good.
I don't mind waiting like 30 seconds for Mary's comment, and then I do have to
Okay.
bounce for a meeting. So go ahead, Mary, and I'm gonna put my because we're short on time and we didn't get a lot of Q&A. I'll just put my email in the inbox if that's okay, and you guys can reach out
Absolutely.
if you would like. So it's Anna@sparkingprogress.com. And I'll put that in the chat box as well. You can just shoot me a message.
Okay.
I do, by the way, there's I think I think on my website, I'm asking because I'm just updating my website. I do have a mini course on strengths on there if you want to check it out. Hope it's okay to mention that on here, Tony.
Sure.
But if you go to sparkingprogress.com, I have a little, I think it's $47 mini course, and it should be on there. We just made the website active last night, I think. All right, Mary,
Okay.
go ahead.
Mary, brief and brilliant. Roll.
Brief and brilliant. I'm going to steal that.
Go ahead, Mary. Oh,
Mary!
Mary. 3.
Thank you very much. I think I think your subject matter. Can you hear me?
Now
You're breaking up really
breaking up
bad.
pretty bad, Mary.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, but yeah, I don't think it's going to work, Mary.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Nope.
Houston, can you hear me?
Nope.
Houston, sorry.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now, but we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Mary.
Yeah,
I
gotta
just
run
wanted to say thank you.
offsite.
Great job.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Take care.
Bye,
Have
everyone.
a great day.
Thanks,
Go out
Tony.
and make a difference. Bye-bye.